Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us for these Observe and Scale Mission Critical Apps with Kong and Dynatrace Tech Talk. My name is Claudio Coaviva. I'm a software architect here at Kong. Today, I'm joined by Assad Ali from Dynatrace. Yeah, Assad, would like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Assad. I'm part of Dynatrace Innovation Center of Excellence team and happy to join with Claudio to talk about this topic with you.
And let's get it started. So here's the agenda. First of all, we're going to talk about, just a quick recap, the main concepts and benefits of the observability in general. And then we're going to cover how and what Kong and Dynatrace can do for you, like, to work together and implement observability capabilities at the Kong API gateway layer. To go a little bit more tangible, we're going to show a reference architecture showing what a Kong and Dynatrace architecture would look like. And then finally, we're going to describe a little bit the Kong and Dynatrace capabilities. So then I'm going to hand over to Assad to get, to talk a little bit about the observability capabilities. Yes, Assad.
Thanks, Claudio.
The stage is yours.
So looking at observability. So observability is a comprehensive view of looking at your applications deployed in any architecture. Could be purely on VM instances, could be in your container environment, could be in a serverless environment. But the main intention of observability is to be able to look at the application, find out the health of the application, and also be able to see whether there are any performance issues, some errors issues that are happening in your application. Now, in order to really do that, what you need are telemetry data to be sent so that the application can be observed. And the telemetry data is traces, logs, metrics. Not only that, but beyond that, where you also need to send events. For example, if you are deployed in a container environment or in Kubernetes environment, you want to send the events data because that has impact on your application behavior. You also want to send metadata. For example, if your application, you are deployed a new module, a new version of your applications into production, you want to know what version was deployed. That kind of metadata is also important. Now, once this data comes to a centralized place, that's where the observability happens, where the data from all the telemetry data that is being collected is then used to really figure out whether the application is healthy, whether any end users are having any issues or not, whether there are errors that are impacting your end users. Not only that, but the role of observability is to be able to not only find the root cause for you, but also be able to in a position to really predict that thing as the data is coming in, to be able to predict that maybe you will run out of storage, maybe you'll run out of memory in a week or in a few days or in a few hours. So the power of observability is to collect all this data, find the root cause for you, and also be able to use that data to be able to predict so that you are ready to take corrective action before your end users are affected. Now, for Dynatrace, we have been in observability space for over 15 years. But more importantly, we are being able to take all the telemetry data that I mentioned before and use our causal AI engine on top of it to really look at all the telemetry data and telemetry events that are coming in to find the root cause for you. Now, so why is this important? Because if you're just collecting telemetry data and the traces are coming in, or metrics are coming in, and logs are coming in, and they're independent of each other, if they're not put together, then you as a application owner will have tough time finding the root cause, because the burden and the onus will fall on you to correlate all these things and try to make a sense of the data. And this becomes humanly impossible if you're running in a containerized environment, in Kubernetes environment, where you have thousands of clusters and thousands of services that are running. To humanly find the root cause becomes impossible. That's where Dynatrace causal AI engine collects all this data, brings everything in context. So I can say, for this particular trace, show me the logs, and for this particular logs, show me the metrics. All the data in Dynatrace is collected, and it's a centralized, is the power of the contextual information that we are bringing to you. So this way, we are able to precisely show you what the root cause is. You can trigger self healing because Dynatrace has workflow automation built in it. You can also find out what is the business impact. You can also find out where your end users who are coming through web browsers or through mobile, what is the effect on them, what activity they are doing. So you get end to end visibility of your application. And you need to go beyond just looking at the dashboards, but to look to really use Dynatrace causal AI to put everything in context. Over to you,
Yeah.
sir.
And yeah, thank you, Asad. And then, I just wanted to talk a little bit. When we start applying observability processes at the API gateway layer. So, as you might know, API gateways in general, they serve as a central port, a central point for managing and routing traffic across, in theory, all applications and services you have in your organization. In other words, your applications and services should be consumed, um, exposed, and therefore consumed by the API gateway. So the API gateway should be the first layer for the API for your services consumption. Applying observability to this layer, to the specific API gateway layer, brings you a enterprise-wide perspective, and how the applications are consuming right now. And then therefore you're going to start experiencing several benefits from it. So this slide over here just outlining the four main ones. For instance, you can start, identifying the API performances. For instance, if the APIs are being consumed in the right, with the nice latency times and so on. If you have any problem with the latency, not just with the API gateway, or with the application sitting behind it. The same thing for security. So again, you will be able to see who is consuming what the kind of consumer are consuming, the APIs you have in place. And then, the third one, that will be like, to get a much better perspective on the API consumption, meaning that, for instance, since we are going to implement distributed tracing, we're going to get a end-to-end perspective, getting started with the API gateway, and then going along the way, including the services and microservices you got behind it. I would say the last one, maybe these are the main and critical ones. Like, when we get started, get information about the most accessed APIs, um, maybe you're going to start outlining patterns, consumption patterns in terms of client, or consumers, or region, or maybe regions where which region is consuming the which APIs and so on. The same thing when we talk about the performances, as I said before, not just to identify in real time what kind of performances you are delivering right now, but actually, and then, as Asad said, like, start defining trends or outlining trends over time. So, and then again, needless to say, to start monitoring your SLAs in terms of scalability, high availability, and so on, and then compliance metrics. So that's the just again, outline the main benefits you can start experiencing when applying observability processes at the API gateway layer. Um, So in order to do it, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Connect. Connect is our flagship product. So as you can see here, it comprises four main layers. So getting started from the bottom, the control plane layer is responsible for spinning up all kinds of control planes in order to implement or to secure all kinds of services. For instance, the Kong gateway is the traditional API gateway control plane. Besides that, we also provide control planes for service meshes, control planes for Ingress controller that's specific for Kubernetes Ingress controllers, and so on. Other control planes are going to be announced along the way. For instance, we about to announce a new control plane to supporting event gateways based on Kafka streams and so on. So these are the fundamental layer of the Connect infrastructure. On top of it, we got the platform, capabilities, as you can imagine, capabilities to monitor and to manage the control planes, to define authentication authorization mechanisms to control who is consuming what, audit logs, RBACs specifically for your administration team, and then to support multi-geo deployment as well. The last layer inside Conconnect, we got what we call the applications. So in other words, it's fine to define API products, a combination APIs being used to define a higher level abstraction, which is the API products. At the same time, we also provide some analytics capabilities, that portal where you're going to have your APIs documented and then sandboxes to get consumed by your consumers, your developers, and so on. Last but not least, the service catalog, where you have all the APIs and services definitions there, and then you can have a much better governance processes in place. This is Conconnect running as a SaaS solution. There is a fourth layer, as you can see. These are the data planes layer. The data planes layer, it's that's where the API consumption, the services are going to be where they're going to be consumed, where the gateways are going to be running. So as you can see over here, you can decide. It's up to you to decide where the data planes are going to be running. Could be self-managed in your own on-premise infrastructure, or if you will, you can spin up new data planes managed by us, by Kong, as a SaaS solution. So at the end of the day, the SaaS solution is going to be responsible not just for the control planes or administration tasks, if you will, but also the data plane layer where the actual API consumption is running. So that's the Connect platform. I believe for the purpose of this specific webinar, that's the one of the main slides we got right now. This reference architecture is showing what a Kong and Dynatrace architecture would look like. So this is, first of all, this is totally based on OTel, OpenTelemetry standards. From our standpoint, that's these specific OpenTelemetry standards is the main standard we got right now. It's emerging. I would say not just emerging, but again getting lots of tractions across the marketplaces and so on. So again, the reference architecture is totally based on OTel on one side, and then as such, the OTel standard defines a layer. It's called OTel collector. The collector responsible for collecting signals from one side and pushing the signals to the observability stack. So in our case, of course, the first side of the collector will be connect the data planes to be more precise, and then the data plane is going to produce and send the signals to the hotel collector. The collector, on the other hand, is responsible for pushing the signals. When I say signals, I mean metrics, logs, traces to Dynatrace infrastructure, the platform Dynatrace, where you're going to be defining your dashboards, your reports, your alarms, and so on and so on. So that's the main reference architecture we got right now. As you can imagine, as a reference architecture, there are so many nuances here, so many other options to get Kong and Dynatrace working together in deployment and so on and so on. And then I'm going to hand over to Assad one more time to describe a little bit, after pushing the signals to Dynatrace, what Dynatrace can do for us in terms of dashboards and so on.
Thanks, Claudio. So, as Claudio mentioned, that we are with the architecture, we are using OpenTelemetry data, and the OpenTelemetry data from the your Kong Connect is coming to Dynatrace. And as he mentioned, we are getting logs, metrics, and traces. And by getting that data in a centralized place in Dynatrace, you are not only able to see individual traces and really look at each plugin level, what time is being spent. You can do that level of investigation, which is shown on the right hand side of the screenshot. But you can also, for operations people, for operations team, they can also look at the built-in Kong dashboard that is showing you how many API requests are coming in, where's the average latency time is, also the request by consumer. So the idea behind here is that as you have Dynatrace is able to get end-to-end visibility or end-to-end visibility into your all your transactions, you want to know whether what role your backend services are playing compared to your Kong API gateway, and to really figure out whether there's a latency issue or some errors going on, which layer is having issue. Maybe it's the backend layer. Maybe it is something a plugin within Kong that is causing slowness or some errors. So by having both the data set with high level view using the dashboard on the left as well as individual traces and trace level data, you can really identify the root cause easily.
Yeah, thank you, Assad. And then, we just wanted to talk a little bit about the AI gateway and the AI capabilities Dynatrace provides as well. So I'm going to get started with Kong again. Um, More recently, I would say like almost 2 years ago, Kong launched the very first Kong API gateway with AI-based capabilities, meaning that the API gateway this time is going to support specific AI use cases. Examples for when we come to AI space, consuming LLMs or any other Gen AI models, very common to start talking about semantics, semantic caching, semantic routing, semantic prompt guards, and so on and so on. That's a kind of policy you are capable to implement using the specific AI-based capabilities the API gateway provides this time. So other examples will be implementing specific rate limiting policies, not based on number of requests. This is traditional for regular API gateways. So again, when we come to AI space, the rate limiting policy should be specific for AIs. Therefore, the rate limiting policy should be based on number of tokens uh, uh, being consumed by the LLMs. So that's the kind of policies you are able to implement using the AI gateway. There's so many other ones, including, for instance, guardrails, like to protect, to make sure the prompts you're going to send to the LLMs to get processed by the LLMs, they are reasonable. Um, they're not bad prompts, like to make sure the prompts are okay to get passed to get routed to the LLMs and so on and so on. So that's the Kong AI gateway is all about. Assad, just for you.
Sure. So, adding to what Claudia just mentioned about the AI gateway, we are seeing common customers that are using Dynatrace and Kong AI gateway because they are building agentic AI apps, and the developers are building the business logic agentic AI apps. And with the AI gateway, they are able to configure which model is being used. They can control which model to be used and which one not to use. But as the telemetry data comes into Dynatrace, Dynatrace is able to show you what's your cost, total cost. This is the token. both the system prompt token as well as the response token, how many requests are going through the AI gateway. Also, because agentic AI apps use multiple models at the same time, you can see which models are being used, which models are utilizing most among the token. Also, you should be able to then say, am I better off switching to a different model. Other thing that you can do is, as I mentioned, as part of the observability, one important thing is not only to able to alert you and find the root cause, but also be able to do prediction. And that's what you see on the right hand side in the middle tile of the dashboard, where Dynatrace is able to look at the historical data and be able to say, be able to predict, saying that in future, in this time period, we expect your utilization of the model to go up so much, or this is the amount of money, or this is the amount of request you'll be making in the future. So using the, again, combining the causal AI as well as the predictive AI into the mix allows the telemetry data coming from Kong AI gateway to show up in a dashboard like this, but also be able to do prediction based upon that.
Yeah, I would say that's all we have today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today's session. And then, I invite you, please feel free to reach out to us if you want to move on and to start discussing these fascinating topics, observability, AI, the AI space, AI gateway, and so on and so on.